A man, Joe Roberts, speaks from a video call. He is in front of a virtual background showing the Washington State University building. A vertical banner with the university's logo is on the right.
Roberts with Connors Communications. I'm the Extension Publications editor and designer, and I'm so excited to talk with you and share what I've learned about PDF accessibility. I'm going to go ahead and share some of the tools that I have with you all right now because I'll be juggling a lot of screens, and I'm going to drop these into the chat. The first that Sarah mentioned is this PDF accessibility checklist in Excel. I'll drop that in the chat now. You feel free to use this. Save it to your desktop. Whenever you remediate a PDF, you can use this to ensure that you've checked all the boxes. And then I'm going to drop another document in our chat, and this one's called the Word Template for Extension Publications. And this is what I use in almost all of my communications, even for emails, if I'm going to be sending something out. What's great about the Word Template for Extension Publications is that it's going to give built-in formatting in the form of header levels, bullets, numbered bullets, even figure captions, table captions. You can use this. It will make PDF remediation down the line so much easier if you start with the good native file. And at this point, I have one more tool to share, and I'll have to copy paste this link. A lot of people ask, and there's a question out there, how do I ensure that I'm actually achieving the WCAG compliance that we're sort of mandated to meet? And this is a great tool that I'll drop in the chat. It's called the PDF Accessibility Checker 2024. It's a free download for PC computers. And it's very easy to use. And I'm going to give a demonstration today after we've remediated a PDF. So let me just double check now before I start screen sharing, because once I start screen sharing, I probably won't jump out. Did everyone in the chat receive those 3 files, the Excel, Microsoft Word document, and the PDF accessibility checker? Awesome, thank you, Carrie. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen, and we are going to jump right into real-time remediating a PDF. And so let me see if I can get this going here. I'll start sharing my screen. I'll have a lot of screens to juggle, so bear with me if I get a little disoriented. Anyone who didn't receive these files during this presentation, because I'm seeing in the chat that some didn't, reach out to me afterward, or I'll make a note to follow up with you and I can get these all to you now. At this point, I'm going to start sharing my screen, and we're going to open a file, an extension publication, and we're going to remediate it in real time. Just in the chat if you want to look for those files there. Okay.
The screen shows a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet titled PDF Remediation Checklist and Helpful Notes. The checklist contains a series of steps for making a PDF accessible.
Okay. This is the Excel file that I shared with you all. And I'm going to open a sample file that we're going to remediate together today. I had permission from the author to use this as a model. This is an extension publication using a Word document as our base, as our native file.
The screen switches to a Microsoft Word document titled Managing Smooth Scouring Rush and Field Horsedale and Dryland Cropping Systems.
And let's toggle back to the Excel checklist here. These first columns are for your Word file to just make sure that you have these checked off, because a lot of the remediation that we do for PDFs is going to take place in the native file. So this is a really important place to start. And the first column that I have here is called Manuscript Title, Author Info, and Tags. In parlance, this is what's called the metadata, which is kind of an intimidating term. And you're going to find that learning this language for PDF remediation does feel a little bit like learning a second language. So just bear with me. I'll reach out with questions. This is the metadata.
In Word, the speaker navigates to the File menu and selects the Info tab, displaying the document's properties, including title, tags, and author.
And so the metadata, if you go to File and then Info in your Word document, the metadata is under this Properties tab. And the metadata that I'm talking about is you need to make sure that your manuscript has a title. You need to make sure that tags are input. Tags are kind of like keywords. They help with search engine optimization and describing what the subject is. And then you need author information. Those three items constitute the metadata. So as long as these three items are there, we can toggle back to our checklist and check that off. Next, just make sure the base alt text for images, complex images like maps, charts, your data tables, extra spaces. Lastly, we're going to run the Microsoft Word. Let me scroll back here to...
In the Info tab, the speaker clicks Check for Issues and then Check Accessibility. An Accessibility Assistant pane opens on the right, showing Looks Good. No issues found.
Next, we're going to go to Check for Issues. We're going to just run the Accessibility Check internal check accessibility tool in Word. So we run it, it says looks good, no issues found. We can go back to our Excel file, check that off. Now this last stage is also really important. This is save as a PDF. And to do this correctly, you go up to File, then Save a Copy, go down to Browse.
A Save As dialog box appears. The speaker confirms the author, tags, and title metadata are present.
And this is a nice little final step to ensuring that your metadata is here. If you can see my cursor, we have the author, our tags, and our title. Next, we're going to select PDF.
He clicks the Options button. In the Options dialog box, he checks the boxes for Create Bookmarks using headings and document structure tags for accessibility.
Now go to Options right here. Let's open that up. Go down to Include Non-Printing Information and say Create Bookmarks using heading, and then ensure that Document Structure Tags for Accessibility is checked along with Document Properties. We'll hit OK once we've selected all these, and then Save.
So
Okay.
Can you run through that one more time?
Yeah, absolutely, Janice. So what we're going to do is I'll delete the one that we just did. We're going to go to our Microsoft Word. Let's go up to File, Save a Copy, Browse. Make sure the metadata is there, author, tags, title. Select PDF, and then in Options right here, let's open that up. Create Bookmarks using headings is tagged. If you use that word extension template that I dropped in the chat, headings are built into the styles in that. So this really helps. Those two components in conjunction really help with this. And then document structure tags for accessibility is also checked. So let's hit OK and then save. And then I'll bring up the PDF here and we'll start working on it.
The newly created PDF opens in Adobe Acrobat.
This is kind of what you think of now when you're actually thinking of PDF remediation. We finally got into the PDF remediation phase, right? But a lot of it took place when we were working in the native file, the Word file. So we've saved it as a PDF, so let's check that off. And now I'm going to help you get into your remediation tools in the PDF interface. So this is going to help your Adobe file look like mine. Here are on the right side here, you can see the remediation tools over here. I'm going to show you how to get those onto your interface.
The speaker navigates through the menu greater than view greater than show / hide greater than side panels to demonstrate how to enable the various accessibility tool panels.
Go to Menu. Go down here to View, and then Show Hide, and then Side Panels. From here, make sure Accessibility Tags is checked, Bookmarks, Content, Order, also called Reading Order, and I have Pages checked here too. That will help your layout look like mine. So once that's complete, let's check that off. Next, let's just go ahead and triple check that the metadata is here. The reason we're doing this is because not having metadata in your file constitutes an automatic failure for the WCAG compliance standards. So let's go back to the document. To find your metadata, go to Menu, and then Document Properties.
The speaker navigates to menu greater than Document Properties to show the metadata that carried over from the Word document into the PDF.
And it looks like it all transferred across correctly. We have the title, author information, and keywords. We can hit OK, and we can go ahead and check that off. Next is this add bookmarks for relevant headers. Again, that extension publications template that I dropped in the chat is really going to help with this process because we've already classified them as headers, right? That's this tool right here in the upper right that I have. It says add delete or go to a specific bookmark. So let's click that.
The speaker clicks the Bookmarks tool, revealing a nested list of bookmarks that correspond to the document's headings.
And we'll see that the first one is the manuscript title here. That's good. Let's expand that. And let's make sure that all of our headers connect with the appropriate section. Abstract, intro, summary, and references all look good. We have another drop down under intro. Looks like this is a level 2 header, and it takes us right to it. So let's go ahead and check that off. Next, these next couple items are all going to kind of work in tandem and together. You can kind of accomplish these next couple tasks using any one of the tools. The tool that I like to start with is called the content tool, and it's right here. It's this one that kind of looks like a document, and it says resolve reflow issues by reordering pages in a PDF. Let's click that.
The speaker opens the content tool, which displays a tree structure of all the content elements on the page. He uses the arrow keys to navigate the reading order.
And here we're going to start to see the structure of the document laid out. And this is where it can be a little intimidating. Let's go to page 1. Page 1, and it shows us all the content on the page. For annotations, these just refer to hyperlinks. There are no hyperlinks on page 1, so that's blank. Next, if you press the downward arrow on your keyboard, you'll start going through the reading order. And already you see we've jumped from the top of the page to the bottom. That's incorrect. And then it looks like it goes to an empty paragraph tag. And then finally jumps into the paragraphs, which look like they proceed in correct reading order. Let's go back to our checklist here. It says fix reading order is the next column, but we can actually do a lot of this work here using this content tool. So first things first, an artifact means that a screen reader is not going to read it. In order to achieve compliance with WCAG standards, if you have things like empty tags, let's see if we can find one. That's an empty tag. It's just there's a container there, there's nothing in it. It was probably just a paragraph mark that was entered. But we need to take additional work with these. Artifact, empty tags like this must be artifacted before they're deleted, or it will constitute a failure in the WCAG standards. So to do that, we're going to right-click on things like empty tags. You'll see I right-clicked it.
In the content panel, the speaker right-clicks an empty container element and selects Create Artifact from the context menu to mark it as decorative.
You're going to go down to Create Artifact. I've heard that you can either select Page or Layout. What's been working for me lately is to use Layout, and then OK. You'll see that this container has now changed into an artifact. Now if I right-click it and delete it, then we've achieved compliance. If you were just to delete it first, you wouldn't pass the PAC 2024 checker.
This happens all the time.
Next, you can see that we can probably delete this one. It's already been labeled as an artifact. Let's just go ahead and delete it. This drops us down to the bottom of the page. We want to be starting up here with the manuscript title, and then we want to proceed in reading order. Because it's starting us at the bottom of the page, we can remedy that right now. We can either cut and paste it to its correct location, or you can drag and drop it. I could click this and I could drag it down to the bottom of the page, like I just did just now. Let's go back to the top and see where it starts. It starts with abstract. We still need it to start with the manuscript title. So let's find out where that is in this layout. Everything else looks good. That's where the image is. You can see it's highlighted right here. That's also out of order. This is where the manuscript title starts. Let's keep scrolling down. Looks like there's a couple artifacts here. This is unlabeled content. I'm not sure what it goes to because it's already been labeled artifact. Let's just go ahead and delete it. Same with this one. It seems to have no corresponding content on the page. It's artifacted. Let's delete it. Looks like our manuscript title starts here and goes to here. So to speed this up, you can either hold down Shift and begin selecting these like this, or you can select it using your cursor, hold down the Shift key, and click at the bottom. That'll speed this up too. From that point, we can either drag and drop again, or we can cut and paste. This time I'm going to cut and paste.
The speaker demonstrates how to correct the reading order by cutting and pasting a container element to its proper place within the content panel's structure.
So let's cut that container. Let's go up to the top of the page and let's paste it and drop it in. So at this point, it's looking better. We actually start with the manuscript title, which is a big improvement. But now we need it to go from here to this image, right? I see down here there's a container image. That's probably it. It's the only one on the page. Let's go ahead and cut it. Let's go up to the end of the manuscript title, and I'm going to paste it right underneath that. So we've kind of been checking off some of the reading order issues while we're in the content. If you want to, you can expand these. If you click right on your keyboard, you're going to see what's within that container. This can be helpful. And to do that quickly, you can either use the right and left keyboard arrows to expand those. So let's just double check this page, see if we got everything in the correct location. It's looking good. Perfect. I'm going to leave this container artifact. I don't want it deleted because it does have a visual element, but because it contributes nothing informational, we can leave this as an artifact. And we've checked off page 1. Let's go to page 2 and expand that.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, Joe, but could you kind of expand on why the title of the document is held within 4 different containers? Wouldn't it make sense to put it all into one?
You know, Harmony, I'm not exactly sure why it divides up the container like it does. I'm hesitant because I know that it passes the pack checker as it is like this. I could do more experimentation to see if I could simplify this and get it inside of one container. But for the purposes of accessibility remediation, it seems to pass the pack checker okay. And so I'm okay with it being as it is right now. I have experimented with it, and sometimes if I try to mess with it too much, it actually deletes the internal text and content from the doc. So I haven't had good luck yet in condensing it into one container. Does that answer your question?
It does. I mean, I need to spend more time working with screen reader technology to understand what this is like from a non-sighted user's perspective. But I mean, if it works for them, and yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to kind of demonstrate this. I guess if this is a good, if this works and passes the checker, and they're so yeah, I guess neither of us would be able to really comment unless we ran it through a screen reader. So thank you, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet, you bet. Great question, thank you. Let's go on to page 2, and we'll get the chance to run that pack checker too, Harmony. So you'll be able to see what that looks like and what it highlights and what errors it comes up with and what additional manual checks it recommends as well. And it will recommend that we check that at the end as a manual check. We're on page 2 now. We go down to annotations. There's no hyperlinks on this page, so that's again blank. Again, it jumps down to the bottom of the page with this artifact. Let's go ahead. We know that that's an error. We can clean this up. Let's drop it at the very end position. Let's go back to the top. It looks like we have a couple blank paragraph tags right after the images, right? And then we have some paragraph tags that were inserted just for formatting purposes, just as spacers. Now I could go through and I could right click these and create artifacts one at a time, or I could control click. Here, I'll hold down control, left click, and let's do all three at once. Now I'm going to right click, create artifact, layout, and now we have 3 artifacts, and I'll delete them all at the same go. There, we just speeded up the process quite a bit. Right away, we're out of reading order. This image should come first. It's one of these two. Let's check what it is. It's this first one. I'll drag and drop this. I could cut and paste it too. Let's start at the top, go through reading, ascertain the reading order is correct. We're out of reading order. This needs to come between these 2 containers. There we go. That's page 2. We're done. Let's go to page 3. It has a data table, other content. Let's see where we go. We know right away that that has to get cut and pasted at the end for proper reading order. This looks good. Just some text. We have a blank tag right there. We know what to do with those now. Right click, create artifact, layout. Now we can delete. We're out of order. It jumped from this text down to the figure caption. We can remedy that. We get into the data table. It looks like it's proceeding in good reading order, left to right, top to bottom. Good. And then we get to that image. Let's see. That was supposed to go between these 2. So it needs to get dropped right after that. So let's cut and paste it into position. Here, let's double check again. Good, it's in good reading order. Everything looks great. That's page 3. And the last page, page 4. This time there are a couple hyperlinks on this page, so you'll see that the annotations actually does have some content this time. We're gonna have to do some extra work to get these hyperlinks WCAG compliant. But for now, let's address the reading order again. We'll drop the page number at the end. Make sure reference citations proceed in reading order. The hyperlinks have some additional content it highlights. Everything else is looking good. Then we get to some blank paragraph tags. And because you know that you can shift click these, oh, I see another one down here. We can shift click all these at once and then control click this one. Right click, create artifact, layout. Let's see where these ended up. Let's control click both these, and now we can delete. Perfect. We'll double check again. You can scroll through quickly. It looks like we are out of reading order just a little bit right here. It jumps from the author information down to this. I'd rather it go to the WSU peer-reviewed logo first. Let's find out which of these images it is. It's right here. Let's drag and drop that into place. And then next we want the Cougar Head WSU extension logo to come after FS405. Let's go ahead and drag and drop that. So you can kind of see we're addressing reading order at the same time that we're doing some of this other stuff too. I think that's it. Let's go back to our PDF remediation checklist and we can check off content, resolve, reflow. We've already addressed a lot of this fixed reading order in PDF. Let's just make sure that using the content tool, we were successful in that. So the reading order tool is this one that kind of looks like a Z, top to bottom, left to right.
The speaker clicks the reading order tool, which overlays numbered boxes on the document's content to visually represent the sequence a screen reader would follow.
And we'll go up to page 1. And then it should proceed in reading order. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That looks good. We'll go on to page 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are you all seeing that? So it's just proceeding. We just want to make sure that it's going in correct reading order from section to section. These are all looking good. And then page 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. Let's go ahead and check off reading order. I think we got it. This last one is kind of a big one. This is the fixed tags in the PDF.
The speaker opens the tags panel, showing another tree structure of the document's content, this time with semantic tags like H1 greater than P and figure.
And I think this is kind of what I think of when I think of PDF accessibility. Is this is all the content in the document. Let's start up at top with our manuscript title. This empty P tag that doesn't seem to have any content selected, this is something that we artifacted earlier. You can see another one down here. Because I remember that, I'm comfortable deleting this at this point. So
real quick, Joe, can I point something out?
Yes,
Real
please.
quick. So on the right-hand side of his toolbar there, we see the little Z and the little tag icon. I just want to point out that sometimes those aren't there by default. And you can quickly do a search up on the top right, find text tools or help. You can type tags or order if you're looking to add those little icons to your right sidebar. So I just wanted to point that out real quick. If you don't see those, you can easily add them to your toolbar list.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And just to go back, if you don't see these tools, go to Menu, View, Show Hide, Side Panels, and it's this one right here, Accessibility Tags. There's the logo. So just make sure that's selected and you'll be able to get into the tags. So let's make sure it's in reading order. We can do, some of this is redundant, right? You can address reading order within the tags. You can address reading order within the content tool right here. Okay, going back to it, we know we artifacted this P tag, so let's just go ahead and delete that now. Let's make sure that all of our content is proceeding in reading order. At this point in time, if I click right in the accessibility tags tool, you're going to see all the text laid out. That can be helpful if you're just making sure that everything transferred correctly. Here's that empty P tag that we artifacted earlier. Let's delete it. We're on to page 2. It looks like everything's proceeding correctly. There's that empty artifact tag. Delete that again to clean up the PDF. And the last one on this page. This is looking good. Another empty P tag that we addressed earlier. Onto the data table. Now this, if you're not familiar with data tables, these can get really complex really fast. And within the PDF remediation checklist that I've developed here, under tables, I've made a note, feel free to add or amend your own notes to this or edit mine. It's going to give you some really good, simple overview of what makes a data table accessible. You have to avoid empty data cells. You need to have a one header row, one header column per table, etc. This looks like a really good, simple data table. So as far as data tables go, this should be one of the easier ones to remediate. So this is great. It's looking good. You can expand this just by clicking right on your keyboard. You can jump from cell to cell, make sure it's in good reading order. I've expanded this next section. This is all looking great. So hopefully we passed the pack tool with it as it is now, but we'll get a chance to review that. Proceeding in reading order, everything's looking good. This comes to our first link. We're going to have to do a little bit of extra work to make the hyperlink accessible. So to do that, and this is also in the PDF checklist that I've developed, it's called Provide Alt Descriptions for Links, and I give a little note on how to do that. But I'll show you how to do it right now too. So we're gonna just to make this easier, I'll open up the Word file. We'll scroll down to that hyperlink that I came to. I'm going to copy the title, which feels a little redundant because the title's right here, right? But we're going to expand this. You're going to see if you expand this link tag, you'll come to these things called link OBJR. link object. Right click the one that has link within these two brackets and go to properties right here.
The speaker right-clicks a hyperlink tag, selects properties, and pastes descriptive text into the alternate text field for the link.
And then you'll see alternate description for links with a box. I'm going to paste in the title of the manuscript into this. I've heard also that you can include the destination or the website that it links out to. But for the purposes of this, I think just the title will suffice in this case. Okay, so we've checked that off. Then we're going to come to the next one here. We'll expand that, go down to the link tag right here. I'm going to toggle back over to our Word document. We're going to highlight the title again, copy, right-click the link tag, properties, paste in the title of the publication or manuscript or destination where it goes, hit close. And I think those were the only two links in this publication. We'll continue through the reading order. As we scroll to the bottom here, you'll see these were the empty paragraph tags that we artifacted. We can go ahead and delete those now because we're confident that we had already artifacted them. And then even though we thought we addressed reading order earlier within two other tools, it looks like we haven't all the way. It's still jumping around a little bit here at the end. So let's expand that paragraph tag. We'll delete this empty tag. We want the WSU peer-reviewed logo to proceed after the author info. So we got to find out which of these figures that is. It's this one. There's our block of text. Let's drag and drop it here. Make sure it goes in correct reading order. And then the next figure, we want to come between this paragraph tag and this paragraph tag. So let's drag and drop this figure between the two. Now let's see how we did. So we thought we addressed reading order. It helps to triple check these things. I think we did it. So let's go to our checklist, the PDF remediation checklist. We can check off two things. We can check off provide alternate descriptions for links and fix tags in PDF. And then it looks like we already artifacted empty tags and then deleted them. So we can check that off too. Lastly, what we can do is you could do this at the start. You can run the built-in PDF checker. And to do that, let's go back to our PDF. I'll exit out of tags just to clean up my screen a little bit. If you go to All Tools over here on the left, and then select View More to expand, you can select this Prepare for Accessibility. If you check that, or select that, and then select Check for Accessibility, it's going to have all these, make sure all these are checked.
The speaker opens the accessibility checker within Adobe Acrobat, which generates a report showing two items that require a manual check: logical reading order and color contrast.
And then you can hit Start Checking. Now this isn't going to make sure that you're WCAG compliant, but it will identify simple barriers to participation. We've run the checker. It comes up with two document issues. Let's see what they are. It always highlights logical reading order. It says needs a manual check. Okay, we've done that. Color contrast needs a manual check. The rest, if we expand, it says pass for everything else. So we can be confident that the accessibility checker just looked for alt text and things like that. You might be looking at this Prepare for Accessibility, and I have not had good luck with this automatically tag PDF. I've tried it. But it hasn't passed the WCAG, the PDF accessibility checker. Hopefully this will get better in the future, but for now I haven't had good success. I still encourage you to try it. Maybe it'll work better for you than it did for me. So at this point, let's go back to our checklist here. We can select that one, check that off. And then the last step here is run the pack tool. And that's what I dropped in the chat for anyone who wasn't able to access that PAC 2024 tool feel free to reach out to me after this presentation and I can work with you. Like I said, they only work for PCs, this tool at this time, but I have it on my desktop right here. I'm going to open that right now. Oh, I should say too, when you're doing this accessibility remediation, it's something I haven't done this presentation at all yet, but really make sure you save and save often throughout this process. It's very difficult to undo something if you make a mistake. It doesn't always work that great. So, you know, as you go through the process, as you use these tools, make sure you save often. So I've made sure that it's saved.
He opens the PAC 2024 PDF Accessibility Checker application and drags the remediated PDF into it.
At this point, let's open the PAC checker. You're gonna see that this tool, it says drop a PDF here, and then it gives you a couple options. WCAG is one of them. This is the criteria that we're trying to hit. This is what we're trying to achieve is WCAG compliance across WSU, right? This is the other system is PDF UA. I don't know as much about it, but we'll select WCAG. I'll select the PDF that we've worked on today. I'll drop it in there. Exit out of that to clean up my desktop. And it says that we have a couple errors here on both PDF and WCAG at this point. So how do we find out what those are? You go down to results and detail. Make sure you have WCAG selected.
The PAC tool displays a detailed report. It shows a red X next to the perceivable category, indicating a compliance failure.
Go down to results and detail, and it opens up this huge report. And the first thing that I want to say is to give this kudos for the work we've done so far. We've passed over 15,500 potential errors, and we have 9 remaining. So we got to figure out what those errors are. I'm seeing a red check, a red cross by perceivable. So let's figure out what it's talking about. If I scroll down to where this red X is, and then press the right key, it'll expand this. I'll go down to info and relationships. Looks like we passed a whole bunch at this point. But it says table header cell assignments. Let's expand that.
The report identifies that the failure is related to the data table, specifically table header cell has no associated subcells.
And now you'll see that it's pointing out exactly where the issue is taking place in this publication. So we know where we need to spend the next of our efforts, where we need to dedicate some time, right? Table header cell has no associated subcell. Well, that's gibberish to me. So what we can do is if you go over here, you'll see that if you put your cursor over it, it wants to open up a hyperlink. This takes you right to the WCAG source, the criteria, the website. I'll drag it over here so you can see. This is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, and the issue that it's citing is this one right here, Success Criterion 1.3.1, Info and Relationships. Information structure presentation can be programmatically determined or are available in text. While I don't know exactly what that means, what is helpful about knowing exactly what the issue is, table header cell has no associated subcell, is if I were to go online and type this exact text verbatim into a Google search and then, you know, say like compliance or remediation, it usually brings up some really good YouTube videos and additional resources that tells you exactly how to fix that issue. So I think we know what we have to focus on. It's an issue with the data table. Let's close out of this. We'll minimize the PAC tool for now. We're going to scroll down to that data table that's giving us issues. I'm going to open up the tags and I'm going to look for this data table within the tags. Looks like it's right here. I have a whole bunch expanded. I'm going to minimize those just so I don't have to keep track as much visual clutter. Let's select this table. I guess I will expand this out. It's saying that these are table headers as tags, TH, table headers. Let's expand these table row. TD stands for table data. TH stands for table header. So it looks like potentially the issue here is that it's giving this a table header row designation. This needs to be table data over in this column, not a table row. It is a simple table. That could have been an issue that we had in Microsoft Word when we converted this. We may have been able to remedy it there. To fix this particular data table issue, I'm going to cancel out of this. If you go to this prepare for accessibility over here, you're going to see fix reading order. That's another tool we haven't used yet. Let's open that up for the first time. And you're going to see it's highlighted all the content. Let's select this table with our cursor and then go into Table Editor.
Back in Adobe Acrobat, the speaker uses the Fix Reading Order tool to open the table editor.
And you can kind of see the issue becomes a little bit more apparent at this point, right? Like this is supposed to be table data, but it's saying it's a column row header. Let's right click this.
He right-clicks a cell, selects Table Cell Properties, and changes its type from header cell to data cell.
Table cell properties, and here the issue becomes apparent. These aren't header cells, these are data cells. Let's click data cell, let's hit OK, and let's see what happens. This looks better. It now looks like table data, which is correct. But I want to go into table cell. I want to check these header rows because it was the pack tool was telling us that there was 9 errors here, and we've only addressed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 4 column headers, so this tells me that something's a little off here. Okay, we need to assign a scope to these header cells.
He right-clicks a header cell, goes to Table Cell Properties, and assigns a scope of column and an associated header cell ID to link it to its corresponding data.
To do that, make sure header cell is selected. For scope, it's at the top of the column, so select column. And then here also we need to assign an ID to this right here, and it does give you the option to automatically generate those, but I haven't had good success with the auto generation, so I'm going to type these in manually and we'll see if it works. Scope, again, column. The ID for this cell is application timing. Okay, this one is rate. We'll do the same thing, column, ID is rate, pound per acre. Okay, and then this last one, surfactant type. Assign the scope, which is a column, the ID, surfactant type. Okay, I think we're getting there. Next, let's make sure that the nesting is correct because we changed this into a table data cells. To do this, I've click and then shift click and select all 4. So I'm shift clicking, right click, table cell properties, associated header cell ID, we're going to have to add it. And you'll see that now the ones, that I typed in here are now options. These need to be located under herbicide treatment. Okay, okay. We'll do the same thing for the next column. Right click, table cell properties, add an associated header cell ID and go to application timing. Okay. And then the next column, same thing, right click, associated header cell ID should be rate, pound per acre. And the last column, and then remind me to save after this or it won't work, is surfactant type. Okay, menu, save. Let's open up the pack tool now and let's see how we did.
After fixing the table and saving, he drags the updated PDF back into the pack tool.
So Here's our newly saved PDF. Let's drop it in here. Exit out of this. We have achieved, it looks like it's giving us some manual checks, but at this point, let's go to results in detail.
The Pack Tool report now shows green check marks next to all major categories, indicating the PDF is compliant, although it still lists several items for manual verification.
And look at that, we've passed everything. The last thing to Harmony's point earlier is it's going to ask me to do just a manual check on that manuscript title. Possibly inappropriate use of a piece structure element. It's not a fail, but it is asking me to just double check those areas. And you'll notice that the last box that I have in my PDF remediation checklist is assistive screen reader. You know, so if you're curious about problem areas that you've been working on in a PDF, this would be a great use of that. We've run the Pack tool, we've achieved compliance. You can be confident in your work at this point that you are WCAG compliant. Sarah, I think that's it on my end. This would be a great time to get into some questions, I think. And just want to thank you all for being here. This has been such a pleasure to show how you can be confident that you've achieved compliance. So I think that that's just great.
Excellent. Thanks, Joe. That was an awesome presentation. Do you think you could quickly maybe demonstrate how they could change a tag in the tags panel if like headers are out of order or something like that? Could you do a quick demo of when you're looking at the tags panel of how you'd quickly change some of those tags if they weren't labeled properly?
Are you talking about like a manual?
Yeah, like if a header 1 should be an actual header 2 and it was mistagged, like how you would update that?
That's a great question. I can give it, I can try to do that. I'm not as great with the manual reassignment. It's easier for me if I'm able to just use that word template that I dropped in the chat and make sure that everything's designated beforehand, before you even put it into a PDF. I have a very difficult time doing it manually within Adobe Acrobat, but I would Google it if I ran into that, and there are some great videos out there for how to do that. It's a great question.
Thanks, Joe. What other questions?
I have one, if you don't mind. I noticed in the Pack tool that you were just running, we were just looking at the WCAG section, but there was another panel in that software, or that user interface, as it were. Could you go back to that? And then I guess it's only the so it was in the Pack tool. It seems like then that we're only working on the WCAG.
Yeah, the WCAG. I think the let me exit out of this so that I have less clutter on here.
PDF, that part, the PDF UA.
Yeah, let's check that out. So if I run the WCAG tool, it does it have anything about PDF UA? No, it doesn't. But if I run PDF UA, it's saying that there's only one failed error. So which leads me to believe that the WCAG and PDF UA are very similar in what they request. We're not required to hit the PDF UA as far as I know, but somebody might be able to correct me if I'm wrong about that. We are required to hit the WCAG criteria, but let's expand that because I am curious, Harmony, because that's a great question. It says PDF UA identifier. And if we select that, let's, like I said earlier, there's a hyperlink to what the issue is. Let me scroll back, check that. Let's see what it says. It's not taking me, it's just taking me to a Gemini description, but it is giving me a description of what it's looking for, which is helpful. So you would be able to figure out a way to Oh,
I think that's something real quick, Joe. So PDF UA stands for PDF Universal Accessibility, and it's just another list of standards that basically are, I mean, if you're most of the time, if you're meeting PDF UA, you're meeting WCAG. That's not 100% always the case. But usually that's something that you can set in pre-flight, I believe. I don't recall exactly the same steps, but I believe that's what you need to do in order to set that metadata for the PDF UA. It's something that's done in the pre-flight. Let's see if I can find the instructions for that.
By pre-flight, Sarah, are you referring to what you do with the document in Microsoft Word before you save it as a PDF and then start remediation?
Another speaker, Sarah Shoup, appears in a video call window. Her virtual background is a green football field with the Washington State University logo.
No, it's something that you can do within Adobe Acrobat. Here, one second. It's a quality control process. So I'm going to put this link in the chat here in just a second. As soon as I find it, here we go. And I believe these are for Windows instructions. So that's another thing to keep in mind too. If you have a Mac, I know a couple people asked that question. Joe uses a PC, he's on Windows. And so if you have a Mac, some of the steps will be different. I know most people are on PCs, but some of you are on Macs. And so the steps will be a little bit different in Adobe and in Word. And you will not have access to the Pack tool unless you have additional software that you can run on your Windows or that you can run on your Mac computer. And I use it. It's called Parallels Desktop. It's not very expensive. It's about, I think it's on sale right now for $55 for a year. And that allows you to run the Pack tool as well as other Windows applications on your Mac if you're a Mac user. So I think it's worth the investment. You can use the NVDA screen reader and other accessibility tools that you can't use unless you're a Windows user. So I put that link in the chat about pre-flight. Let's see. Okay, we have a couple more questions. From Martha, I often work with graphic artists who will take my Word file, then lay out the paper in InDesign, then convert it to PDF. Do you know if there are issues that occur when you introduce InDesign into the process? Absolutely, there are issues when you introduce InDesign into the process. That's a whole nother training on how to make your documents accessible through InDesign. Unfortunately, we don't have time to cover that today. I'm not an InDesign specialist, but I do know we have some people on the team who are. But yeah, that's a whole nother process. So the simplest way, obviously, is Word, like Joe had shared, starting with a fully compliant Word document with built-in styles and converting that to PDF. But it gets more complicated when you're using. It's possible you can set up styles in InDesign and you can set up, your whole structure to be accessible, but it does require additional training to learn how to do that. Gwen asks, thanks for organizing this. Should we be doing remediation now, or is it possible AI tools still being considered? So we have looked into some AI tools, Gwen, the one that you shared. We attended a couple of demonstrations so far. They are way out of our budget and do not include the functionality that we need for an enterprise level tool. And so we are exploring at the university level and at the college level developing out the API for that Adobe tool. I don't have an update on when or how that might happen, but I can share a link if you want to utilize the Adobe. There is a remediation tool available. It's not 100%, but it gets you part of the way there. Let me just drop it in the chat.
So
It's
that's
the accessibility auto tag API. I think you're limited to 10 PDFs a day with this playground. It works pretty well. And once you remediate a PDF, it generates a report for you on what it remediated and why, but it's not perfect. You'd still have to check reading order and color contrast and some of those other things. Did that answer your question, Gwen?
Yeah, so well, somewhat. So the InDesign, we have no access to the InDesign files from Connors Publishing, Lejean's office. So we start with the PDF, and then
You don't
so
need to do that, Gwen, because
no.
we're remediating all of the publications right now. So all of the
Oh,
publications, yep,
perfect. That's what I was asking. This is for new stuff. We don't have to go back and do all of our
no,
things that are on extension. Okay,
nope, nope. We
perfect.
are working on that right now. We have a team of 5 of us working on PDF remediation of all of our publications. It's going to take quite a long time. We have over 1,000 publications. We're starting with top 50 downloads, and then we're going to work our way back from 2025 and back. Everything that's been done since May of 2025 is fully compliant, and so we don't need to worry about anything that's been developed since May. But yeah, no, we're not asking authors to go back and update their PDFs if they're on the publications extension site. We're taking care of that. It's just going to take some time. But so yes, please, we'll send out more messages about that. I think we sent out one. We'll be communicating that again probably right after Thanksgiving. No need for authors to be worrying about their publications. We're converting them all to HTML format. So at least the ones on the publications website, not on everyone's websites. So did that answer your question, Gwen?
Yes, I was just typing in the chat that I so appreciate you and your team. So thank you for doing that
Yeah,
project as it's large. So
it's huge. Yeah, it's a
these
huge
tools
project.
are for like us with our other websites. And if we had to post something, then the expectation is going forward that we would have something that would be
Yes,
accessible. Okay.
yes. And if you have anything that just lives on your website that's not a publication and you're certain that you want to keep it as a document, it needs to be accessible. So this really applies to anyone within your unit or department who's posting documents to your website or who plans to continue to post documents to your website or to your learning management software if you're a faculty member. Everything that we post and share needs to be accessible. So this applies to your own content that you're developing and creating. Whenever possible, though, if it can be a web page, make it a web page. It's going to make your life easier. As you can see how Joe demonstrated, it was a 4-page publication. It took him the hour to walk through the remediation process for that, and he's a whiz at it. He's been doing it. He can do it quickly. Something like that would take most of us many, many hours to remediate. So it's not an easy process. It does get easier with practice. But again, if it's possible to make it a web page, if it's just general content, I recommend you do that. Beth, it looks like you have a question.
Yeah, hi.
A new speaker, Beth Vongen, appears. Her virtual background is a Progress Pride flag.
First, I feel like anytime there's a conversation involving the words co-pilot, pre-flight, and UA, there should be a joke in there. If anybody came up with it, put it in the chat. My question, though, is about the page numbers. So I noticed, Joe, you wanted them to come last. And since they were automatically tagged as coming first, I thought, well, if I'm listening to a screen reader, I might like to hear page 2, and here's all the stuff that's on page 2, page 3, and here's all the stuff that's on page 3. So I wondered, is that like a standard WCAG thing that the page numbers should come last?
Those were artifacted to begin with, so a screen reader shouldn't even be reading those page numbers to begin with. And I'm not sure at this point how a screen reader interprets the pages. That's a great question, Beth.
It's more concerned with the requirements are more concerned with the reading order of the content. So page numbers don't necessarily, every training I've attended, they've been artifacted in a document and hidden from screen readers or deleted from the page because they're not as relevant as the content. As long as your content's in the proper reading order, page numbers don't really matter. So,
Thank you.
mhm. Couple more minutes if anybody else has a question. Okay, let's see. Can you direct me to information about converting documents to HTML? So I don't really have any information to tell you how to do it. Basically, it's creating a web page and copy pasting that content into a web page as opposed to having it be a PDF. So, an example of that would be if you just have like a Word document on your website that is a form that you want people to fill out and submit to apply for scholarship money, for example, then you would want to use Gravity Forms to create that on your website, which is a built-in plugin, or not built-in, but it's part of the WordPress platform that we have. It's one of the default plugins that you can use. It's drag and drop. It's really easy to use. If it's just, a page that just has text and some photos, then you would just create a web page for that document instead of having it be a document. And that's going to be the most accessible way forward, because whenever you post a document to your website, you're assuming that the user has that software. So if it's Microsoft Word, you're assuming that the user has Microsoft Word, which not everybody has access to. PDFs, although most people has access to a free PDF reader, it's still an additional tool that people need to download or use in order to open up that file or that document. And it's not mobile friendly. So I don't know if any of you have tried to read a PDF document on a mobile device. You have to pan and zoom with your fingers. It's not very responsive, meaning it's not very usable and accessible. So those are just a couple of the reasons where you might want to switch to web content, which is a web page, as opposed to an individual document. So I'd have to say that it probably 80% of the documents that I see should be web content as opposed to an actual document posted to your website. Did that answer your question, Martha? I think it gets confusing because we say convert it to HTML content. Really what we're saying is a web page. Make it a web page on your website, link to the web page instead of the document, wherever possible. Work with your web person or whoever has access to make content edits to your website. If you don't know who that is, you can reach out to us and we can help facilitate that for you on your website, whatever that is, and provide a little bit more direction.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome. Okay. Well, this was awesome. We had 57 people at one point joining us. So Joe, thank you so much. This is really helpful. I think we can definitely do this training again in the future. I know PDFs are not going anywhere. We will still need to continue to use them in higher ed. So I'm really, really excited to see how many people are interested in this topic and participated today. If you have additional questions, feel free to reach out to Joe or myself. I'll drop my email in the chat. And Joe, do you want to drop your email in the chat?
Joe Roberts reappears in the main video window.
Absolutely. I just want to say thanks everybody for coming. It was just great to be here. Great to share what we've learned and how you can make PDFs accessible. It's a little bit like learning a second language, but hopefully you've learned that it's achievable. And so, yeah, feel free to reach out. It's been a pleasure.